Hi, this is Jim Wells from macrotides.com. Thanks for tuning in. Well, let's take a look at the outlook for the U.S. economy and global economy, not just for the second quarter, but maybe more importantly for the second half of this year. Expectations seem a bit high for the second half, so let's take a look. For the first time since World War II, global GDP is expected to be negative, which underscores how broad-based the weakness is in countries throughout the world. Expectations, though, are that the worst of the damage globally will be achieved in the second quarter, and the majority of people believe that the recession, if you will only last 2 quarters, with 66% of them saying that. So for the majority of folks, we're going to have a contraction that will last about 6 months and then see things turn around. In terms of the U.S., the range of estimates are really quite large in terms of the depth of the contraction in the second quarter, going from 7% up to 30%. Now, these are annualized numbers, so it's like 7% times 4. The third and fourth quarter, take a look and you can see most economists are expecting a very sharp snapback in the economy. And then if you look at the 2020 numbers for the year as a whole, the depth of the contraction is really relatively modest relative to what we're seeing in the second quarter. So economists are expecting a deep, sharp pullback in the second quarter and then effectively a V-shaped recovery. I think that's going to be tough. One of the reasons, unemployment could potentially get up to 30% or more as 30 to 40 million Americans lose their job. Obviously, the more people that are laid off and out of work, irrespective of the safety net, that's going to have a big impact on their spending habits. Many consumers are quite vulnerable. If you look at this table closely, you can see for 41% of those who respond don't have enough in savings to tide them over for 3 months, which underscores the vulnerability the majority of consumers have, and why it was so necessary to pass the safety net program that Congress just did. The other thing is there was weakness before the COVID-19 virus hit. You can see delinquency rates for auto loans and credit cards have already been climbing, especially for auto loans, for a number of years. So this kind of shows there were a lot of people already close to the edge. Congress just passed a week ago a huge safety net package that's 9.3% of GDP. In 2009, it was 5.5%, so significantly larger. And effectively, they're trying to put a floor under every worker who's been laid off so that they have enough money to be able to put food on the table, be able to stay in their place, not get kicked out of their apartment or home. So this is very, very important package, and it will help stabilize the economy. The problem is, I think it's going to just take more time for, if you will, normal behavior to resume. Most importantly, you don't make the timeline, the virus does. The odds that the April 30th deadline are quite high that it's going to be extended in order to contain the virus. As in the current situation, global planning is simply not possible. You can see in comparison to the impact of COVID-19 to SARS and Ebola. And this is primarily because with SARS and Ebola, as soon as someone was infectious, they already were showing symptoms. With COVID-19, we know that 25% or more of the people who are infectious and are infecting at least 2 other people go unnoticed until they start to show symptoms. So as Dr. Fauci said, you don't make the timeline, the virus does. So the net result is I think the economy is going to rebound in the second half, but I do not believe it's going to meet expectations. As that realization sinks in, I think the odds favor a retest of the low in the S&P near 2,200. Thanks for tuning in. May something good happen for you today.